in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Newsgaon se Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today is the 3rd May. And 3rd May, the world is celebrating World Press Freedom Day. The United Nations General Assembly declared May 3rd to be the World Press Freedom Day or just World Press Day, observed to raise awareness of the importance of freedom of the press and remind governments of their duty to respect and uphold the right to freedom of expression enshrined under Article 19 of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights and marking the anniversary of the Windhoek Declaration, a statement of free press principles put together by African newspaper journalists in Windhoek in 1991. UNESCO marks World Press Freedom Day by conferring the UNESCO Guillermo Cano World Press Freedom Prize on a deserving individual, organization, or institution that has made an outstanding contribution to the defense and/or promotion of press freedom anywhere in the world, especially when this has been achieved in the face of danger. Created in 1997, the prize is awarded on the recommendation of an independent jury of 14 news professionals. Names are submitted by regional and international non-governmental organizations working for press freedom and by UNESCO member states. The prize is named in honor of Guillermo Cano Isaja, a Colombian journalist who was assassinated in front of the office of his newspaper El Espectador in Bogota on 17th December 1986. Cano's writing had offended Colombia's powerful drug barons. UNESCO also marks World Press Freedom Day each year by bringing together media professionals, press freedom organizations, and UN agencies to assess the state of press freedom worldwide and discuss solutions for addressing challenges. Each conference is centered on a theme related to press freedom, including good governance, media coverage of terrorism, impunity, and the role of media in post-conflict countries. 3rd May act as a reminder to governments of the need to respect their commitment to press freedom and is also a day of reflection among media professionals about issues of press freedom and professional ethics. Just as importantly, World Press Freedom Day is a day of support for media which are targets for the restraint or abolition of press freedom. It is also a day of remembrance for those journalists who lost their lives in the pursuit of a story. Every year, 3rd May is a date which celebrates the fundamental principles of press freedom to evaluate press freedom around the world, to defend the media from attacks on their independence, and to pay tributes to journalists who have lost their lives in the exercise of their professions. World Press Freedom Day was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in 1993 following a recommendation adopted at the 26th session of UNESCO's General Conference in 1991. This in turn was a response to a call by African journalists who in 1991 produced the landmark Windhoek Declaration on Media Pluralism and Independence. At the core of UNESCO's mandate is freedom of the press and freedom of expression. UNESCO believes that these freedoms allow for mutual understanding to build a sustainable peace. It serves as an occasion to inform citizens of violations of press freedom, a reminder that in dozens of countries around the world, publications are censored, fined, suspended, and closed down, while journalists, editors, and publishers are harassed, attacked, detained, and even murdered. It is a date to encourage and develop initiative in favor of press freedom and to assess the state of the press freedom worldwide. The theme of this year's World Press Freedom Day is information as a public good. underlines the indisputable importance of verified and reliable information. It calls attention to the essential role of free and professional journalists in producing and disseminating this information by tackling misinformation and other harmful content. Freedom of the press is significant for keeping people informed. A free press monitors the administration and forces them to work for the betterment of the country. Thomas Jefferson once said, I quote, "The press is the only tocsin of a nation. When it is completely silenced, all means of a general effort are taken away," unquote. The press acts as a medium of communication between the government and the people. The free press has a huge responsibility of reporting the truth and shaping people's opinions. Hence, to mark the importance of the press, World Press Freedom Day is celebrated every year. Freedom of the press in India is legally protected by the amendment to the Constitution of India, while the sovereignty, national integrity, and moral principles are generally protected by the law of India to maintain a hybrid legal system for independent journalism. In India, media bias or misleading information is restricted under the certain constitutional amendments. The media crime is covered by the Indian Penal Code (IPC), which is applicable to all substantive aspects of criminal law. Nevertheless, freedom of the press in India is subject to certain restrictions, such as defamation law, a lack of protection for whistleblowers, barriers to information access, and constraints caused by public and government hostility to journalists. The press, including print, television, radio, and internet, are nominally amended to express their concerns under the selected provisions such as Article 19, which became effective from 1950. Through it states freedom of occupation, trade, or business, and freedom of speech and expression, without naming press in clause A and G. The article allows a journalist or media industries to cover any story and bring it to the audiences without impacting the national security of the country. To protect the intellectual, moral, and fundamental rights of the citizens, the government has taken several countermeasures to combat circulating fake news and restricting objectionable contents across the multiple platforms. The law of India prohibits spreading or publishing fake news through social or mass media and could lead to imprisonment of a journalist or newspaper ban. In 2020, India's press freedom rank dropped to 142 out of 180 countries in Press Freedom Index, an annual ranking of countries published by Reporters Without Borders, RWB, an international non-governmental organization dedicated to safeguard the right to freedom of information. In 2019, the country's press freedom was recorded 140th rank in Press Freedom Index, making it a slight decline in previous annual report. The India's global index rank was declined for several issues such as killings of journalists, restrictions imposed on news media, censorship in Kashmir and Jammu and Kashmir, which has been a subject of dispute between India and Pakistan. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting criticized the report published by the Reporters Without Borders in 2020, citing the surveys portray a bad picture about freedom of press in India. Now, to discuss this very, very important point, whether we have the freedom in India or even in the world, because today we are celebrating World Press Freedom Day. So at least today we have a freedom to speak freely without any ban or restriction. And to discuss this very, very important topic of Press Freedom Day, we have a very elite, informed, knowledgeable, experienced, and those who are authority in their own field, the panelists with us. I would like to invite my first panelist guest, and he is Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Mukesh Sharma is the former Director General of Films Division of India and also the former Additional Director General of Doordarshan, working for the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for the Government of India. He has been in the TV broadcast industry since 1992. He won the Best DD Kendra Award in 2001. He was instrumental in changing the fortunes of DD Mumbai and was the #1 regional Marathi Kendra in the country for a number of years. Dr. Sharma is the recipient of several national and international awards for the work done in the film and broadcasting industry. He also holds a PhD in journalism and mass communication. Currently, he is the dean with the School of Branding and Advertising with NMIMS University, Mumbai. Welcome, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, on our show. Dr. Mukesh Sharma, as you know, that today we are celebrating the World Press Freedom Day. And as per the report which I read, India ranked 142 out of 180 countries. Means there is no freedom for the press in India, or very little freedom. You are associated with Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for several years, and you have done the work with them for in all aspects, including the news channels also. And you know what is the position from the government side, what are the restrictions they impose or not, and how much freedom the government, irrespective of the parties, wants to give to the media. So now we would like to know from you the Press Freedom Day, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, please.
Thank you, Lal Goel, and my best wishes to all my panelists right now who are with me. Sir, there is a couplet in Urdu. I want to start with that. कि खुदा जब हुस्न देता है तो नजाकत आ ही जाती है. खुदा जब हुस्न देता है तो नजाकत आ ही जाती है. जब प्रेस को फ्रीडम दिया है, अब सवाल यह है कि उस फ्रीडम के साथ प्रेस के जो उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो आई नहीं, एटलीस्ट हिंदुस्तान में. और we have now, आप समझिए ना, nearly 70 years have gone by and we have seen everything. एक दौर वो भी था when press was curbed, they were asked to kneel, they started crawling. That was an emergency time. So press has seen the good and bad and indifferent of everything. Now what has happened is, after the social media came into being, when everyone has its own channel, you can have your own today news channel on a YouTube platform. Nobody is going to stop you. And also, who's going to judge 130 crore people if each of us want to have a news channel? How many of us will be able to judge, and how much will be able to give? Third point, what important is, you said that we are ranking so and so. So who is judging me? Who is the person who is judging me? Everyone has their own interests, sir. Please understand. Nobody is, and that is not a yardstick for me that somebody should say that you rank this or you rank that. There is enough freedom in this country for the press, as I can see that. Enough freedom. Because the way press has behaved of late. Can you imagine a news channel coming up in 2006 or something, India TV, whatever the channel is, and it comes with a sting operation because it needs numbers, it needs TRP. Somebody has invested money. So the press, which we had a different sort of press, which we were thinking about, at least the newspaper in their own right. No doubt at that time also, if they disgrace you on a front page, they would come back and say, I'm sorry, on the last page or somewhere. They would also not be as clear or as truthful in their things as they should be. So as far as I'm concerned, this country has, I will not go by your yardstick that we rank so and so. We have got enough freedom here. And
Dr.
that
Sharma,
freedom
that
has
is
only made a mess.
Sorry, Dr. Sharma, that is not my yardstick. It is
no, but that's what I'm saying. That there are so many things happening these days. Even awards people are selling. They would send something and say that we are going to give you this award, you pay so much. So everything in social media is happening. We really do not know what is the truth. And with fake news around, we are not sure what is happening. I'm at least not sure. So I've stopped watching news of late because I really do not know whether this is truth or not, because I can tell you the way news can be interpreted and done. I'll give you a small example, the way the press should have been functioning as a journalist. See, they are the opinion makers. They could have done something for us over the years. they have lost it out. And I remember one of your programs, and I was there, you were calling it a Godi media or whatever it was. You're absolutely right. Some of them have sold, practically they have sold themselves. And the best example, yesterday you were, I think, prior to the discussion, we were this program, we were discussing that a particular channel was showing only about a particular person, a particular people, or a particular party, or a particular thing. They are not concerned with what is truth. So how do I know? I go to X channel as a viewer, I find this is correct. I go to Y, that is correct. So where is not the freedom? Everyone is unto themselves. Actually, I'm more confused as a viewer. What is the truth now? What should I follow? What should I finally understand? So, except that, yes, I would still give a little importance to the print. Print is still keeping that sanctity. Print has not gone totally out of way, I must say that. But I would like to talk about something later on, not now. Especially this country, which has done most ruin, is of the sting operations. The way they have done those stings and the way they have come out of it, really things have gone to, and not that other party, say the government or the administration is not there, equally bad. So because there was no training for it, everyone came out with their channel, everyone started doing it. Okay, we have the liberty, we have the freedom, so let's start. So I am actually more concerned now, after doing so much of your PhD and all that has gone for a toss. With the present scenario, I'm really shocked. I really do not know whether I should call it a complete freedom or not. I will leave it to the others to decide. But yes, three things which is important, which I just want to add to your thing, is that this year, since the theme of the UNESCO is information as a public good, the 3 points which they have discussed is the steps to ensure that the economic viability of news media is there. That is the first. So economic viability of news media will only be there when proper support is there and where there are no strings attached. Today, if Doordarshan has I would say news, especially money is coming from the government, it is with a string attached, which happens in the private channel also. So I would not say the government is controlling the media, is doing the right, or the private channels are doing. It is free for all. It is bindas. You go ahead the way you want to do it. There is no problem, as I can see that. And the social media around, it has, it's like icing on the cake for everyone. Enjoy yourself. I can say only this much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Sharma, seems to be that you are quite unhappy with the freedom of the press, that they are, yes, we understand, because what Dr. Sharma says, he says that when we are talking about the freedom of press, we should understand in India, everyone is free and everyone can start their own YouTube channel. They can do as much harm as they can to any individual, any institution, without thinking what are going to be the repercussions. And this is type of freedom which everyone is enjoying. And one side, the other side, the ranking, the organization or the agency is giving 140th to 142nd rank, while everyone, all the channels have the liberty. They can do defame anybody anytime without any restriction. And according to Dr. Sharma, newspapers also, although they are still better than the print, this TV media, but he says that they also put something against you, any of the institution, on the front page, and the last page they can mention we are sorry, like that. But after all, it is not that type of freedom should not be there. And he also says that people are confused now to whom rely or not to rely. So according to him, there is a lots of freedom. And he also made a very important point. He says whenever this time the UNESCO says that the freedom, the journalists should have the economic support. Now, economic support, or economically they are fully covered. According to him, if any money is coming from anyone, whether it's from government or from anyone, the sting is attached, and that organization cannot oppose that particular government or institution who is going to pay. So according to Dr. Sharma, he's not happy with the conditions of the media here. Some are enjoying very good media, some freedom, and somebody is a Godi media, which we discussed in the last of media conference, where the media is totally sold out to one or the other government. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, for giving a very, very strong, I must say, and with full of force and with full of anger, agony, not anger, agony, your views. I'm sure this will put the ball rolling now as you have started. Let's see how other panelists will give their views. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist is Dr. P.K. Abraham. Dr. P.K. Abraham is a dynamic leader with rocket speed in transforming organizations. He had transformed a media house that was almost at the verge of a breakdown back into its glorious days. Rashtra Deepika Limited was totally reformed under his leadership during 90s. While he took leadership, the company had first Malayalam daily Deepika with 2 editions and a children's magazine and a huge balance sheet of liabilities. Dr. Abraham had totally expanded the company by bringing hundreds of youngsters into leadership roles and creating strategic revenue models around each of them. He had become the founder editor of largest circulated Malayalam evening daily Rashtra Deepika and founder editor of Krishna Khan, the first agricultural magazine in Kerala from the same media house. He had started a film magazine that had become a hit overnight, women's magazine, career magazine, etc. were started one after the other under the same umbrella brand. Dr. P.K. Abraham was chief editor of Vikashnam newspaper from 2010 to 2014. This is the only daily newspaper of Indian National Congress now functioning. Vikasnan newspaper was started by Mr. A.K. Antony, the then KPCC president, and inaugurated by Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India. Almost 25 years later, today Dr. Abraham maintains the same spirit of dynamic and strategic leadership, transforming establishments one after the other. At present, he is the CEO of True Coat Paints Kochi. Dr. Abraham was General Manager of Fertilizer and Chemical Travancore, popularly known as FACT Limited. He was Director of the famous MacFest Business School in Kerala and Dean of Xavier Institute of Management, Bangalore. Welcome, Dr. P.K. Abraham, on our show. Dr. P.K. Abraham, you have heard what Dr. Mukesh Sharma has mentioned. And Dr. Mukesh Sharma is very clear. According to him, the freedom in press freedom is too much in India because anyone can tarnish the image of the other, whether individual or an institution, by starting a YouTube channel or other channel. And he has also mentioned then one of the channel which started in 2006 is started with a sting operation, which clearly shows the motive that it was funded by somebody to start with the sting operation. So he says, although he worked so many years with Doordarshan and he knows the ins and outs, the relationship with the Doordarshan, with the government and other media house, but he says the freedom or any any media house has to sustain economically, they require funding, and for that the strings will have to be attached if they are accepting funds from whether the government, from anyone else. Now, we would like to know from you, because you are also a very, very senior journalist or editor or a administrator, and you have run so many magazines and the newspapers, and you have turned around the newspapers. So we would like to know from you your views on today's topic, that is the Press Freedom Day. Dr. P.K. Abraham, please.
Good morning, and thank you, Editor Lal Goel ji, my fellow panelists, distinguished panelist Dr. Mukesh Sharma, also Advocate Sharma. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. In many points, I fully agree with Dr. Mukesh Sharma. We have freedom of press, no doubt. That's the reason why I could, once upon a time when I entered in the press field as a fresher, some 30 years ago, I could start several editions of the newspaper, several magazines. If I had no freedom, I could not start any of those. Then, of course, press means largely it was only printed press. That is your newspapers, as it is called, newspapers. That is in the early 90s when I joined. Of course, Doordarshan was there, and there was no other TV channel. Radio, as if you go, it was only the All India Radio. Then if you look into other things, there was no satellite channels. Then all these channels came only after 90s, started coming towards the end of 90s or middle of 90s. And then, of course, it exploded. Next 10 years, if you look at it, exploded. And the exponential growth, if you look at the channels, there may be thousands or 2,000 channels of the ordinary kind, where you have a studio and all those things. And if you look at the internet channel and all that, it may be numerous in numbers. But even today, if you look at the press, largely the press means the printed press still. Though we have a lot of channels, and then we have TV bombarding the images of all images, direct reporting and breaking news, and then all are there. But basically, we can say that still the press or the media is controlled or largely not their reach and their readership. If you look at, still it is the press. It is the printed press. Now, as we all know that there is a huge role for the press in our lives, in any country's life. And the role of press and the freedom of press has any meaning only in a democratic polity. In a dictatorship, any news or any information or any data is controlled by the dictator. Or the dictatorial rule, whether it is a communist rule or whether it is a king ruling or whether it is dictator military ruling, whatever it is, there is no freedom of press. In fact, press freedom or the very word of press is associated with the democracy, the people's rule. And rightly, press is dubbed as the fourth estate or the most important pillar of democracy, because press corrects, press disseminates, press influences, press brings positive, of course negative also, news or the rulers, and it reaches the people through press. Of course, press means largely the printed press as well as the electronic media and the visual media and the new media, which is the origin of the last 10 years. Now, when we look at the press freedom and the Press Freedom Day, of course, there is a very lofty ideals declaring the press freedom. The first thing is that press information should be a free good. It should be a free goods for the public, or the data should be freely available, and the press people or the journalists should be in a position to work free and without fearless and without any favor. And the newspaper should be also impartial, propagating the truth, and then supporting or opposing what is needed for the people, the people's right. The newspapers are to protect the people's right. And for that, do we have the freedom? As my earlier Dr. Mukesh Sharma said, freedom, of course, is there. That is why, if you look at the RNI data, we may have about 40 or 50,000 registered newspapers in India. When I was there, it was about 35. And I am sure that it could have been 50 or 60 or even 100,000 registered RNI, registered newspapers in India. So it is a huge freedom. So we would think that there is freedom. I would like to put a very small observation, which I had for the last 30 days here in Kerala. In Kerala, you know, the UDF and LDF, two factions always fight each other, and one after one, the other rotate their rule every 5 years. This time it is not followed. The first time, if you look at the history for the last from 1970 or 1980, about 40 years, you can see that first the UDF 5 years, then the LDF 5 years, then the UDF 5 years. This ping pong used to be like that. Only this year, exceptionally, Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan's government got a chance to continue the route. It's a very, very important thing, a very, very exceptional event happened. But look at the media, what were they saying and what were they doing? In Kerala, if you read even the day before yesterday's newspaper, we have like the two UDF and LDF, large number of press, even the printed press, about 90% of the printed press is for favoring the UDF. And about 10%, even in number or in reach or in circulation, 10% is for LDF, which is for not only for printed media, for visual media, TV and all that. It's also the same thing. Only 1 or 2 channels were favoring LDF. All the other 15 or 20 or 30 channels were for the LDF combined. Newspaper also. Out of about, you know, in Kerala, everybody very literate, so everybody buys 1 or 2 newspapers. There may be at least 40 or 50 lakhs of newspapers circulated every day. Even Manorama itself is 15 or 25 or 30 lakhs. Your Madhubhumi is another 15 or 20 lakhs or 10 or 12 lakhs. Then other umpteen number of papers printing, say a lakh, 1.5, like that. 90% of the newspapers were with the UDF, and they were even yesterday, day for yesterday, even their exit poll saying that LDF is getting only 50 or 60 seats, and UDF is going to get 80 or 90 seats. I am saying about the exit poll predictions of these newspapers. I don't mean the other agencies, national agency giving it the exit poll at the last day, they were giving. That more or less it was hitting the mark. So their exit poll was more or less correct. But I am saying about the newspaper or media offerings. It is sure that they were not free or doing free and fearless and not partial newspaper or journalistic offering. They were definitely partial. They were definitely taking sides. They were not telling the truth, and their news was biased. And why is it so? There is a reason for that, why we cannot be free. Number one, a newspaper or except your social media, where my distinguished panelist earlier said that anybody can start a channel, anybody can start a new, an offering and become an editor and become a reporter, become a journalist. That's right, as far as the social media is concerned. But what about the other? It's a huge industry. Newspaper, whether it is a conventional printed press or it is a satellite channel, it is a huge industry. You need tons and tons of money for establishing, and not only establishing and keeping it in the market, because it's such a competition. As my distinguished panelist said, when a new newspaper and when a new channel starts, they starts with a sting operation. There was an area, I wanted to support what he said. Recently, some 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, a new channel came in. I don't want to say that new channel is they're all good friends of mine. They started a new channel. You know what was the first operation? First operation was a talk between a minister and a lady. And lady was talking to the minister, and that was their first offering. You know, that was a sting operation. You know what was the talk? Obviously, everybody knows what was the talk. And that voice message and then some faded message and all those things were the first channel offering. And then obviously that means that they had to create viewership more. So what I'm saying is that this is a huge industry, and the industry is controlled by the owner who puts the capital. And the owner has his interest. He has the interest, and that is his business interest, his marketing interest, his capital interest, his profit motives. So that to maintain that, of course, they may have to side the government, and the government has enormous power, whether it is democracy, whether it is, okay, when say press freedom, it is the, what we are speaking of, the democratic press freedom. The government has direct as well as indirectly enormous power of giving advertisement, power of giving support, power of giving various other, okay, as you know, most of this press and the media is run by big business houses. So if not directly, there are various other businesses are to be, the government can favor, the government can give new resources allocation to them. So many things the government can do. That is why, no doubt, if you look at in India, more than 70 or 80% of the media is supporting the government, whether it is right or not. So that is the situation now. So the press freedom, despite all these celebrations and talk, is controlled. It is not actual freedom. The journalist or the editor, I was an editor. You asked me whether I have the freedom. Okay, I had the freedom, but I had to always look up at the owners. I had owners. The press was where I was having the newspaper. My newspaper was owned by the church, so I had to look up at the church and their policies, and then only I could do anything. So the so-called freedom, I cannot do that. And also, if I look at the party newspaper which I was running, still I had to look at the party and follow their lines. If it is a business paper, I know many business papers, they look up at the commercial interest and then they run. So how can we have a real press freedom under these circumstances? The only silver lining we see is the emerging new media. Okay, emerging new media and the youngsters who are coming to the journalistic field. Because of the new media, our old media, the traditional media, are careful. Because of the new media, our traditional media, when we say traditional media, of course, you know that it is the printed media as well as the visual media. Of course, the radio is not there. They are still not there for a news or news channel. Radio channel is still not there, despite your community radio offerings. But that is not. It has no impact in the journal or in the media world. So we can see that the old media, like the print media, how powerful and big they are, and also the visual media, the various channels which are trying to beat each other and play one-upmanship and then increase their viewership. They are really have a break now, not from the government, not from the commercial interest. They have a kind of control by the social media, because the social media is becoming powerful, and the social media, anybody can have it. There is no need of any capital, huge capital. There is no need of any support group. There is no need of any political affiliation. Nothing is needed for a social media journalist. If I wanted to be, I can. And if I am good, my post can be read by millions and millions, or I can be supported and my offerings will become viral. So I don't need any kind of capital, but it may take time. And in this direction, perhaps we can think of promoting such new media persons, especially our global TV and all those offerings are in the area of new media, where the capital and anybody who wanted to start a global TV channel you can just start it and they will give all the support. And if there is a some 1,000 such offerings are coming up, that will be a break on the traditional media, because traditional media is very difficult to function independently on their own. And there the journalist will have to toe the line of the editor has to toe the line of the publisher has to toe the line of the owner, and the owner will have to toe the line of the government, because the owner basically will be a business tycoon or a business magnate, and he cannot simply say that you go and write whatever you want, whatever truth you want, you write. So that is the thing. So, but the movement like International Press Freedom Day and declaring that journalists should be in a position to independently and professionally conduct their journalistic profession without fear or favor, without political or commercial interest, is a very good, laudable objective. So also give gender equality, which there is no in journalism. You can see that most of the journalistic slots are occupied by the male and not the female. And also you can see there is a lot of atrocity over the journalists. Recently, you know, Jamal Khashoggi of the Saudi Arabia, and even here in India, we every day, the other day we are, for the last 2 months, the press, the independent press is reporting at least about several stories, including the Kerala journalist, our Mr. Kapan, who has been arrested and charged under some other charges. So these are all there. So there is a freedom, press freedom celebration. So Press Freedom Day is very important. Though in India, we have the freedom of press, the practicing of that freedom of press is limited. But the new development, the new emergence for the last 10 years of the new media, and where the independence is more, it is not attached to capital or big business, because you can start, I can.
Dr. Ibrahim.
So this is what I feel is what is.
Dr. Ibrahim, Dr. Ibrahim, I'm just barging in.
Yeah.
Just want to say that, sir, please understand, the press in this country is more loyal than the king.
Yes, sir, that is what.
Which means we are the ones who are showing the dead bodies of people which we are burning on the rise, and the world is watching it. Did you see any American dead bodies when they had, or any English or European or anywhere in the world? We just don't bother about our dead or alive. That's what I said. We are more loyal than the king.
Yes.
So this press, who said the freedom is not there? This is the freedom that has brought to this level today. See, another point is immediacy over accuracy. For them, immediacy is important. Whether it is right or wrong news, no, to hell with it.
Yes.
Accuracy goes for a toss. Third is, even the new media, what you are saying, I'm concerned, I'm worried, is because they need to be taught.
Yeah.
If I do a PhD in mass communication and journalism, I was taught about it, how it is taken. I just cannot start a channel just and say that, okay, I'm covering it. Today, I'm so sorry to say, when I go out and when the journalists come and ask me a question, you know what he says? Instead of paraphrasing a question, or instead of making a proper question about the event or whatever is happening, हाँ sir, कुछ बोलिए. बोलिए sir, ये जो हो रहा है. Okay, so you are the journalist. You must ask me a specific question. I should talk about. और छोटे बच्चे, they have no clue, sir. Just because it's like this, you give them a transistor or a tape recorder in their hand, and they know the new media and how it is worked and how they can send, the news and come back. That accuracy, immediacy. I'm worried about that, sir. Who is teaching them today? Today we are talking all. It's like we are just seeing the upper. Inside we are not going. Nobody is going, sir. The language has gone for a toss. The writing system has gone for a toss. They don't bother about spelling. They don't, even in print. And also the print, sir, don't worry. It has gone behind the paywall now. The print today, you can get it, everything behind. You don't have to physically see the paper. Again, it is being carried on a streaming platform or something, new media. So what I'm trying to say is, it is really something which we need to, I don't know, we have had our innings, we played well, sir, all of us, we are all senior citizens. But what are we going to leave behind with these people? I'm really, I don't know, I'm really concerned. I can only say, sorry for barging, but I thought I'll just share these views. Please,
Yeah.
Mr. Goel, please carry on.
Anyway, what I am saying is that press freedom in India is there, power freedom is there, but still the press is under lot of influences. That influence is from the government, the people who are ruling, and also the owners or the capital, those who put the capital. But what my submission is that despite all this, there is a ray of hope. That means the data and information is becoming more and more free and more cheap, and it once without much time, it may even become, as envisaged by UNESCO, a free good.
Sir, unless and until we have an independent funding, unlike BBC has an independent, it comes directly from the parliament. This,
Yes.
whosoever controls, whether it's a private or a government, sir, the press will never be free.
Yes.
It is going to come with a string attached, and that strings, it will be very difficult for a viewer to understand what is right and what is wrong happening, sir. My only worry is that, sir.
Yes, that's what I said as an example of what is happening here for the last 1 month or 2 months, and finally even day for yesterday, some
correct, sir. You're right.
Interested press was predicting a massive UDF victory. Even day for yesterday.
Yeah, that's what.
After the exit poll. The UDF.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim.
Yes.
I know that today is a press freedom day, so I have to give full freedom to you all. But still, because I have to see the time limit also, so I have to barge in.
You are under the control of time.
Yeah, what Dr. P.K. Abraham has made a point, very important point. He says the freedom is there. Anyone can start the business. And he says that the newspapers, when he was doing the work with the newspaper at that time, about 30 years back, about 35,000 newspapers were registered. And now he expects far, far more. But today, because of the social media, anyone can start the YouTube channel without any rules and regulations, and they are mushrooming like anything. But what he says, one thing is very clear: they are controlled. Either they are under the influence of the government, or under the influence of the media owners, or those who have put the capital in those medias. So basically, the journalist is not free, but the owners or those who have invested money or the government, they have a freedom. Whatsoever they want, they can put their words in the mouth of the media, and media has no other option to forward it, which is, according to him, is quite unfortunate. And he has given example of the Kerala elections, how the media houses were biased for a particular party, while the result was totally opposite. So this, according to him, unless there should be a proper way of thinking, proper way of funding, which Dr. Mukesh Sharma has come when he barged in, and he says that unlike BBC, which has been getting independently fixed things from the parliament, it has nothing to do whichever party will come. So that credibility, that whether we will have that thing in India or not, that is a matter of discussion. Thank you very much, Dr. P.K. Abraham, for giving your views. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist. He is Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma. Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma is the chairman of Gyan Deep Shiksha Bharati Senior Secondary School, Mathura. He is a leading lawyer of Western UP with more than 41 years of practice. He is regularly appearing in news in Supreme Court and different high courts, including Allahabad, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, Andhra Pradesh, high courts, etc. He is extensively practicing constitutional, civil, and taxation matters. He is also rendering social services. He is secretary of Kans Nikandan Trust, Mathura. He is founder secretary of Civil Lawyers Forum and president thereafter. Welcome, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, on our show. Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, you have heard two panelists who have spent their life, I must say, in the media houses. With Dr. Mukesh Sharma, who was associated with the Doordarshan and film division. So basically, he has worked with the government, and he has seen the working of the government very closely. The other panelist, Dr. P.K. Abraham, who has worked with independent organizations, but not that independent. He has mentioned that one newspaper was controlled by the church and the other was by a political party, so media houses. So they have given their views, but both of them says that there's a lots of freedom of press in India. Anyone can do whatsoever they want to do, especially during the modern time when YouTube channel you can start without any investment, and you can put your mic in front of everybody and ask any odd question, or do the character assassination of anybody by coming out with a sting operation. Now, we would like to know from you, being a legal expert, what are your views about the Press Freedom Day? Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, please.
Yeah, Mr. Goel, first I'm thankful to you for giving me an opportunity to put my views on such an important topic. I've been simply a viewer and reader of the press, practically having no inside experience of that department. But as a viewer and as a student of law, what I feel, this freedom of press has always been regarded as an essential prerequisite of the democratic form of government. Freedom of press is a barometer of the democracy. The more freedom of press is there in any country, the more democracy shall be there in that country. Freedom of press means the right to print or publish or show without any interference from the state or any public authority. What Dr. Abraham has said just, one-sided he has stressfully said that yes, sufficient freedom is there. And other side he has also said that yes, some controlling powers are also there. So definitely we have to bifurcate in two parts. If some commercial, I am not putting on the social media, some commercial media, either as print media or electronic media, they are showing or printing some news. When the news is not with regard to the government or its policies or its actions, they are free to show or free to print any material and no control is there. But when the news or that article or story is related to the government, its policies, its actions, then the control begins. And test of freedom starts from this point. With regard to first point, what Dr. Ibrahim has said, that is not a part of the test of freedom of press. Freedom of press starts from the point when the material is directly related to the government or its policies. At that point, as Dr. Ibrahim has said, definitely the controls are there. Now, what type of control and how those controls are being exercised, I would like to say a little. As this right of freedom of press has been guaranteed by Article 19(1) of our Constitution, but this right is not absolute. It is not without regard to the honor and reputation of the public. It is subject to the reasonable restrictions as given in Article 19(2) of our Constitution. Long back in 1997, Justice Fayyazuddin, of the then judge of Honorable Supreme Court, he has said about the media, press, its duties and its importance. I quote, "A free and healthy press is indispensable to the functioning of a true democracy. In a democratic setup, there has to be an active and intelligent participation of the people in all spheres and affairs of the community as well as the state. It is their right to be kept informed about the current political, social, economic, and cultural life, as well as the burning topics and important issues of the day, in order to enable them to consider and form broad opinion about the same and the way in which they are being managed, tackled, and administered by the government and its functionaries. To achieve this object, the people need a clear and truthful account of the event so that they may form their own opinion and their own comments and viewpoints on such matters and issues and select their further course of action. The primary function, therefore, of the press is to provide comprehensive and objective information to all aspects of the country's political, social, and economic, cultural life. It has an educative and mobilizing role to play. It plays an important role in molding the public opinion, and it can be instrument of the social change also. The press should have the right to present anything in which they think it fair for the public. So the important aspect I unquote that basic change is that the primary function there of the press is to provide comprehensive and objective information. Now this comprehensive and objective information is being provided or not by the press, that is to be looked into. And I am sorry to say that, as Dr. Abraham has said, that so many reasons are there. The commercial or financial interest of the owner of the media, either it is print media, electronic media, that also affects the way of presentation and the language of the news item or the article or the story, whatever it is. And second, government also controls it directly and indirectly. As Article 358 is also there in our constitution, which says the effect of emergency. Because of, if in case of emergency due to war or external aggression, the fundamental rights remain suspended. But in 1979, Janata government made a 44th amendment in our constitution, and they made it clear that in case of emergency due to armed rebellion, the fundamental rights shall not be suspended. You must be remembering, Mr. Goel, that the then Prime Minister Mrs. Gandhi imposed emergency on the ground of internal disturbances. At that time, the word internal disturbance was also there in the Article 352 of the Constitution. But later on, Janata government by 44th amendment deleted this word internal disturbances and added the word armed rebellion. And in case of emergency of armed rebellion, the fundamental rights shall not be suspended. So even in that case, this right shall be there. Now, this freedom of press, it is a basic structure, it is a part of the basic structure of our constitution. So legally, it cannot be changed by any government at all or by any constitutional amendment anyway. Now, due to this right, no pre-censorship can be imposed at all. But now, it is for the government to impose the post-censorship or other type of censorship. There cannot be a direct control or censorship over the press, but the government generally did it indirectly by way of allocation of advertisements. This allocation of advertisement is a big weapon in the hands of the government. By way of this weapon, government controls the press. Whosoever shall print, publish, or show any material against the government, naturally he will not get that advertisements. And the advertisements are generally the main source of income of the media. So by way of these advertisements, government is directly controlling these media houses. Our present government has not only controlled the constitutional institutions, but also this media by this advertising allocation. The entire media nowadays busy in praising the government, except a few, either it is electronic or print media. Most of them are busy in praising the government. I am leaving the news and articles which are not connected to the government. Because of, as I have said, the test of freedom starts from the news or a story or article when it is connected with regard to the government or its policies. So in nowadays, no one can dare to print, publish, or show anything against the government. If any correspondent do it, he has to give up his job. And there is an inside terror in the media houses nowadays. They cannot explain it, but it is apparently being felt by the public at large. Thus, without declaring emergency nowadays, our present government has made a situation like that of emergency because of the control on the media houses is very much tight nowadays. No one can dare to criticize the government, and they are bound to praise the government. So this is totally like the emergency. As you have said, that due to all these reasons, the International Index for Freedom of Press, our position is 142. But the position of small countries like Nepal, it is having 106 position. Like Sri Lanka, it is having 127th position. And the top in this list is Norway is on the top, Finland is the second, Denmark is the third, Costa Rica is the fourth. So these small countries are on the top of the freedom of press, and mostly the big countries, they are at the lower side. Then this shows actually that the actual position of democracy is at what level in our country. And what I feel particularly, that we are heading towards the dictatorship of majority. I am remembering one thing long back in 1973, at the time when this case, famous case of Kesavanand Bharti, was being argued by Mr. Nani Palkiwala. He put an important argument that at one time there may be a dictatorship of majority and any government can do anything. This argument was turned down by the Honorable Supreme Court in that judgment on the ground that this argument is imaginary argument and such a condition is not expected in India. But I think Mr. Palkiwala was having a foresight, and that condition exists today. As the majority of dictatorship is there, no one from inside the government and outside the government can raise a voice to criticize the government. This is the majority of dictatorship. So freedom of press is there, but it is only in the books of law and not in actuality. What we feel other thing is that we are living in an era which we can say it is a dictatorship of majority. And particularly what I will like to say, that with regard to the government policies and government actions, our media and press, they have totally surrendered themselves in the feet of the political power. And this is the bad luck of this country. Media is said to be the fourth pillar, but that fourth pillar has rotten now. It was stronger, it was very strong a very long time back, but it is no more strong at all, and it has rotten nowadays. So what I feel, freedom of press is there with regard to non-governmental matters, but there is no freedom of press at all with regard to the governmental matters or policies. That's all, Mr. Goel.
Thank you very much, Advocate Sharma, for giving your views. And according to Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, there are two types of things in the freedom of press. If it's non-governmental, then there is a full freedom to the press. They can do whatsoever they want to do. But when the question of government comes or the government policies comes, there is no freedom in India. So he says, and he has given the all legal the aspects of this freedom. According to him, there is, according to him, the Constitution provides full security. But he also mentioned about the famous case of 1973, Kesavanand Bharti versus Union Government of India, where the luminary or legend Nani Palkiwala argued that some time will come when the majority dictatorship will be there. According to him, the present time is in that where the majority dictatorship is there. Today, no one can dare to criticize the government of the day. And if they do, it is on their own risk. They can be behind the bar, or they can be harmed, or their media house can be harmed. So that's why, according to him, there is no press freedom in India as far as government thing is concerned. But as far as the what Dr. Mukesh Sharma has also mentioned initially about the sting operation, yes, if it is for a private institution, for a private party, full freedom is there. Thank you very much, Advocate Sharma. I will definitely come and ask a tough question to you. But now my question goes to Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Dr. Mukesh Sharma, you mentioned that in India, the media is very irresponsible. They have extra freedom. They were showing something which even UK and USA is not showing. And you have mentioned about the recent of COVID time. You says they are showing the dead bodies. My question to you, Dr. Mukesh Sharma, to why the media has to show those dead bodies? If you see the data of UP government, that today, any day you take out for last 1 month, they are showing death 1, 2, or 3 in a district. Like I am giving the example, I am not giving in the air, Mathura. They are showing 1, 2, 3 only. But in fact, the death toll of Mathura district is exceeding 100 every day. In city, Mathura city, 40 to 50 bodies are burned every day. That's why the media is showing those dead bodies to awaken why the media's role is there. And that's why they are showing. No other country is fudging the data like we are fudging in India as far as the COVID is concerned, because you have made a specific mention. That's why I made this specific. Now, my question to you is, according to you, more restrictions are required for the journalists?
Hello. I'll just barge in here, sir. You cannot have 10 things. See, that
No,
channel, what you are saying. No,
sorry,
1 minute.
You only said that I have to make...
No. There is a reason. The television is being watched by the kids also at home. You are not understanding. It is not the government that they want to. What happened to the families who are watching these visuals? What happened to the psyche of the child? What happened to the psyche of the family? There are certain rules for ethics for me also as a media person. It's just not because nobody is listening, I'm going to show. Tomorrow if there is a rape happening, nothing, I'm going to show the rape on the television, you mean to say, just to awaken the government? I'm sorry, Mr. Goel, that is not an argument. You'll have to do better. Yes, next, tell me.
Okay. When you have mentioned about the rape, everyone has saw not only in US, everywhere in the world, how one police officer killed one Afro-American in USA by putting his knees, and it was shown live.
Again, that has not come from any media. That has come from a person who is shooting through his cell phone. Now these things can happen, but it is the responsibility. 1 minute, it is that you cannot imagine. You cannot mix that with the burning of a dead body or a rape. That is something which is okay, which is nothing, something which with the visual, a child will not get offended with it. But other visual, the child will get offended.
Miss Dr. Sharma,
give me an answer. If your child sees the burning dead bodies, you tell me.
I appreciate your views, but tell me one thing.
They are not even 1 minute. They are not even putting a byline saying that visuals are this. Please be this. They are not even warning us.
See see, I appreciate your point, which you have mentioned initially.
Is, sir, you are worried about government. I am worried about the social fabric which is being torn apart right now.
Dr. Sharma, you have mentioned very clearly and correctly that no proper training has been given to these journalists.
Precisely.
Very nicely. But who has to give? Today there is not a single regulatory body in press media. The regulatory self-regulation. We don't have election commission, although everybody is firing here election commission. Yes, they are also becoming very much irresponsible, I can say on records. But my question is, why not? There is a proper regulatory board of a body like SEBI.
Because people like you, I'm sorry to say, are saying that the moment they talk about, oh, you are going to strangle the media, you are going to do this for media. No, media has to be free. Immediately, government said that, okay,
Dr. Sharma, when we are talking
about what Sharma ji is saying, then the government start the other way. Okay, let me control the purse. Automatically, they'll fall in place. And that is happening.
Because
you yourself is saying, I don't want regulations. And you say that is censorship.
No.
Dr. Sharma, please, 1 minute, Mr. Goel. There may be a self-regulatory body also.
Sir,
not imposed by the government. Created by the channels themselves.
The moment, sir, they say, immediately there is a howl and cry. And
not by the government. Self-regulatory body created by the media house.
It is already there.
News ke liye nahi bani.
It is already there.
जिसमें कि इतने सारे लोग थे, कोई बचा पाया किसी को? You please understand, 43% of channels are news channels today, sir.
Yes.
43% channels.
Yes.
Now 43 channel पर क्या? What are they? Forget the social media, sir. My worry is about kids, people जो मैं बार-बार बोल रहा हूँ. I'm not talking. I had my innings, sir. I'm not interested in playing anymore. But what am I leaving behind? My only worry is that, sir. If somebody can understand, forget this gone. And even when Rajiv Gandhi got 400 plus seats at that time, you remember when he won after Mrs. Gandhi's death, did he brought in dictatorship at that time? No, there was nothing like that. Why are we going on what government is? I am worried about what as a social responsible person, what are you doing? What am I doing? I'm asking that.
Yes, I understand,
We are
Dr.
not doing
Sharma.
ourselves anything. We are worried only what is happening to government. That is why I'm
Dr. Sharma, you are right. But the thing is, we are going low because there are no clarity. If I am telling you, if their data are correct, I'm just coming to the burning of the bodies. If the data are correct, why a journalist would like to go and shoot at the crematorium? He doesn't want to do because he knows the figures are okay.
Sir, it is not. No, sir. It is because that will bring him TRPs. That visuals are going to bring him money, sir. I can okay. Tell me in Akshardham when they shot the terrorist shot, we showed our dead bodies of citizens who just died for nothing. Did any country showing dead bodies of their own people the terrorists have killed? No. That's what I am saying. We are more loyal than the king, my press.
Okay. Okay. So according to you, now my question to you is, because you wanted that one should give some background things, so I have given you the entire thing. I am not asking you. Now, keeping all these things in mind, what you are saying, according to you, more restrictions are required to curb the press media in India?
See, in childhood, we have understand, spare the rod and spoil the child. You understand that, no? So if there is no discipline, we need to bring in the discipline. I'm saying this. Otherwise, what will happen? Because you have given, see, by chance, if radio was given news, what would happen in this country? हमारे यहाँ जहाँ की 6 कोस में पानी बदलता है, सभ्यता बदलती है, बात बदलती है, वहां तो हाहाकार मच जाएगा अगर रेडियो पे न्यूज आने लगती। इसको भी please understand, try and understand these reasons. Okay. So yes, discipline, if there no, because see, freedom के साथ साथ discipline अपना भी होना चाहिए ना. That is not happening.
But who will discipline? Who will discipline? Who will do this thing?
We only, you and I. Close these channels. Don't watch these channels, sir. We won't be discussing it. But okay. Who is not? Because we are interested in what is happening. नीचे लड़ाई होती है. Last time I told you, we are more interested in going and listening to that bloody fight rather than listening to your good music. Because this is we are not changing. I'm not saying anything else.
No, but
I started, sir. I started my own news. I started my own channel on this. With telling stories and trying to bring out something in 2 and 3, 4 minutes, right? For slowly, I could generate 2,000 subscribers, all organic, no inorganic. I could have paid money. I could have got a lakh immediately. Why? एक भी तो अगर बंदा कर सकता है उन कहानियों को सुनिए तो it is the change can be brought. वो मैं कर रहा हूँ. हम और आप क्या कर रहे हैं सिवाय इसके कि we are today you are discussing this. You have a freedom, sir. You are discussing this. Nobody is asking you what you are talking about because streaming. You say in the beginning, sorry, we will not talk about this. We will not criticize this. We will not this. Why you are saying this? Because as a social responsible citizen, you want to ensure that the whole thing should not go like a news channel. Am I right, sir, or not?
Yes.
Precisely.
Right.
So, like you, how many are there?
So,
who is choosing them?
But the thing is, it's all depends on the viewer also. They can very well close. So if I'm liking your story channel, I would like to subscribe. I would like to see. The other, if I doesn't want to see
but I am in absolute minority. I need more Mukesh Sharmas. You need more people. More people should come forward, sir. That's the reason. So that is my bad luck, but that doesn't mean I will stop doing it, sir.
Yeah. You are right, 100% right. Now my question goes to Dr. P.K. Ibrahim. Dr. P.K. Ibrahim, as you have heard what Dr. Mukesh Sharma said, the person who wants the journalist or whosoever wants to do the good work, there is nobody, takers are not there, but who are just for the TRP sake can show each and anything which is immoral, which is not to be shown to the families, which is going to impact very badly to the society, to the children especially. People are going for that. Now, my question to you is, you being a person who is turning around the fortunes of the company, if it is this is the condition, then how the media houses who really want to give a fair and proper and responsible reporting can sustain themselves? As Advocate Sharma says, there is no funding. The funding is also biased. The string is with the government. And even the owner, and as you have mentioned. So what is your opinion about that, Dr. P.K. Ibrahim?
Yes, it is very difficult to answer the question because when you look at media, especially media as a business, media is a business because it is, if you look at internationally, I mean the free media, the so-called media in the democratic countries. I don't mean the media in China or Russia. That is totally a government business. But the democracies, the so-called democracies, which we follow in India, Europe, most of the West European countries, and then United States and Canada and all that, the media of those countries, there the media is a big industry or a big business. No denying that. It needs a lot of capital, it needs a lot of organization, it needs a lot of management, a lot of money flow. In Canada or in India also, that is the truth. To run it, to organize it, to run it. So the journalists or the journal or the newspaper industry or the newspaper establishment, like I was heading some papers, we had to talk, we have to play the line, but we cannot sacrifice everything. So there is a via media. That doesn't mean that we have to always be a piping fellow, always singing the songs of the government. Certainly, there can be occasion, there can be platforms, there can be situations in which you can tell the truth, and then that can be done. But certainly, you have to look at the commercial interest of your establishment, because your payroll, suppose in your payroll there may be 5,000 people or 10,000 people or even 20,000 people in huge media organizations. They have to see that that organization is continued, and then they cannot irresponsibly do all the things. But then do we have the freedom of reporting in India, freedom of publishing in India? Certainly is there, but it is under certain restrictions, as our advocate Sharmaji said. You have the restrictions under various common law, criminal law, even the defamation law. Because I can personally say that I was also charged in many, not many times, in a few times under defamation. And there is press council and there is advertisement standards associations and all that. There are restrictions, but still I think that one can reasonably be free, and we also can go ahead, and that freedom is there in India. That's what I feel.
Okay, thank you.
But then as our Mukesh Sharma said, when you are asked to bend, some of the people are crawling. That is their choice. Maybe they wanted more, so then they were. Indira Gandhi wanted everyone to bend a little. Everyone choose to crawl. That is that is the manner of the media. Nobody has them.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ibrahim, for giving the reply for my question. Now my question goes to Advocate Sharma. Advocate Sharma, you mentioned about the government criticism or whatnot. There is a basic difference in all the countries or everywhere, that is between government and nation. If I criticize government, I'm not an anti-national. You see in USA, Mr. President Trump, earlier former President Trump, was never having a good relationship with the media, press media. And they used to hammer him every day. But still, people have not, they all are nationalist. They never says that you have become anti-national. Don't you think in India, the tone which has now set up is, if you criticize the government, it means you are criticizing the nation. Now, there is a difference, lots of difference. I may like or not like one of the policy of the government. Dr. Sharma may like or not like the same policy, and Dr. Ibrahim, all have different opinion. We are in democratic country. But none of us are anti-national. We all are as patriotic as anyone else. So don't you think the media houses, the freedom of media, what you are saying, of we are talking about press media today, is caught under the catch 22 condition, because there is a difference which was earlier there or not there, but nowadays there is not at all. If you are criticizing a government, whether central government or state government, you are become anti-national. And then, like our Dr. P.K. Abraham had mentioned about one of the Kerala journalists who happened to be in the jail at Mathura, and very recently, after the retirement of the former Chief Justice Bobde, now, who has not given any relief for 6 months, now the Chief Justice has given the relief, and he was allowed to come to All India Institute, Delhi, for the treatment, which was not at all given. And for those cases, the charges, as you all know, we are from Mathura only, what were the charges put on him? Now, my question to you is the criticizing government or criticizing nation? Where is the thin line? What you say about the freedom of press?
Yeah, Mr. Goel, there is a wide difference in between the government and the nation. These two institutions cannot be amalgamated at all. Interest of the government may or may not be interest of the nation. If someone is criticizing any action or policy of the government, it doesn't mean that he is against the nation or he is criticizing the nation itself. But what I have said just before, that this is the dictatorship tendency of the government, which shows that every criticism goes against the nation itself. The criticism is not against the nation, but only because of the dictatorship tendency, they say it, that this criticize goes against the nation, and offense of sedition and all those things started. And this is the starting point of the dictatorship. And that's why I say that we are living in an era of the dictatorship of majority. And this, what your question itself proves it.
Okay. Thank you, Advocate Sharma. Now, my last round, and it's a 1 minute each, starting from Dr. Mukesh Sharma. Your suggestion to government and advice to the budding journalist or whomsoever you think those the responsibility for them. Dr. Mukesh Sharma, please.
See, there are certain codes which, if the present journalists, if they can take care of it, it's like things will fall in place. There was a small story about a lady whose child, 2-3 children, they were making a ruckus in the house. And she said how to make them sit quiet. So what she did, she took out a cardboard and tore it and said, just set it right. And there was a map of India on it. And the kids came back in 2 minutes. They said, we have done it. He said, how fast you have put the map back? He said, well, there was a photo of a man behind the map. We put the photo right and the map is okay. So what I'm trying to say is, if the journalists whosoever are coming, if they come with each individual will have to decide about it. We all cannot say that what you have to do. You are doing what you are doing with a purpose. Are others doing with a purpose? That's a big question. So no government come because tomorrow another government will come. It will have its own agenda. It will have its way of thinking. The society will have to think about it, which is where you and I will have to work hard on it. I do have nothing to say with the present government or with the past government. Government is there for their own thing.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. Dr. Ibrahim, your suggestion to government and advice to the budding journalists or those who are in this field.
Yes, my suggestion to the government is that to the extent required, leave the press, leave the media free. They can interfere under extreme circumstances and maybe book them and all that under certain criminal or civil law, like defamation or whatever it is, or anti-national. That is a rare thing. So the government should leave the press free, and they should not try to muscle it. They should not try to control it by allocating or not allocating advertisement and all that. So, and they should give all the freedom of operations. And to the journalists, I can only say that they should certainly work regardless of both political and commercial influences. There should be, that is the true avocation or the true professionalism of a journalist. There should be fearless, like the freedom of press theme says itself. There should be fearless and there should be work free and freedom. That is how they can bring the freedom of press. Okay, one or two like the carpet may be caught and then.
Okay, thank you very much.
That is there in any profession. That kind of is there in any profession.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Abraham. Paucity of time. Sorry, Dr. Abraham. Paucity of time. I'm not curbing the freedom of press, but paucity of time. Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, this suggestion to government and advice to public at large, not the because you are not in that profession. So, what is your advice to public?
I'm not in that profession, but I first agree to Dr. Abraham that there should be a complete freedom to the press itself. But the media houses should themselves create a specific guideline and they should follow it.
Okay.
Because of uncontrolled media is also dangerous to the society, as Dr. Mukesh Sharma has said.
Okay, thank you very much.
Controlling from themselves is there.
Thank you very much, Advocate Sharma.
Self-censorship.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. So today you have seen that the world is celebrating World Press Freedom Day and India is also celebrating. But there are views, the experts who are authority, they says, yes, we have lots of freedom. No doubt about it. If you are watching my media conference with Lal Goel, there is a freedom. And that's why this program is streamed. But there should be some sense of responsibility. If a journalist is showing something which the visuals are disturbing, if for a child or for anyone, it's wrong. They should know what to show and what not to show. And that is why the freedom of press is required to the extent that it should not infringe the rights, the infringe of the liberty or the infringe of the mental setup of others. If you are doing something which you are harming, if suppose somebody is not interested to see those things, please don't show that. There are so many things to show. There are so many things how you can, one journalist can raise the voice, but only by showing such types of things which are creating problem not only in India, but giving a bad image in the international world is also not a proper way. After all, nation first. Political parties may come today, go tomorrow, but the nation first, one has to understand. But one thing is very clear, we have a press media freedom, and whatsoever ranking anybody wants to give, that is up to them, but there is lots of freedom in our country. Thank you very much for watching, for contributing your views. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Newsgaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you everyday new topic. And tomorrow media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. The topic is expectations from newly elected state governments. And our panelists are Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, one-man expert commission on labor, Government of India, Mr. Neoli